So I guess first things first, I might as well just jump right out of the gate and say it. We lost a farm. Oh, guys, before we get into the video, I have a really big announcement. Pit Viper just dropped their biggest restock they've ever done. They are fully restocked in every pair of sunglasses on their website. So if you want to pick something up, order through the link in the description and get 15% off. But I do it quick because they're gonna sell out fast. Okay, that's all I had to say. It's cold out here. Let's get into the video.
Hi, Cole.
Good morning.
You can tell the boys are working really hard. They're up there enjoying the comfort.
You come join us, or you're gonna stay down there?
Billion little things we need to know in there.
Yeah, I covered it with the boys. You're never gonna run it anyhow, so.
Did you hear that unnecessary groan?
I got all kinds of unnecessary groans.
So if you guys are new to the channel, that was Ryan. He's our combine mechanic, and he came down to inspect the new combine. And I know some of you are probably thinking to yourselves, well, Cole, didn't readers go through the combine when they sold it to you? And the answer to that is yes, they did. And they did about $15,000 worth of repairs to it. Dad, you just want to explain why Ryan came down?
Ryan has been a great friend of ours for quite a few years, and he's been our professional mechanic that checks our combines over. He's always done that after the season. When we got this one, we just thought for us, we kind of wanted Ryan to go through it just so we kind of knew how everything was. And then for his mind, he knew how it was going into the season. So if we had any issues during harvest, he kind of knew how it started out. And then he gives us a lot of pointers how to keep things in better maintenance. He knows we're kind of picky in that area. So he tells us things to kind of watch or maybe do to the machine to try to get the best life out of it. So we really appreciate Ryan coming down here and going through this stuff for us.
And readers did a good job on the machine because we really didn't find a whole lot. Looking at the belts on the machine, we're guessing these are originals, and they're definitely not in bad shape by any means, but they are starting to show a little wear. They'll probably get through the next season just fine, but we figured, well, we have everything clean and it's in here, we're just gonna replace them. Then we noticed a loose fitting up in one of these things. And then something else we found that wasn't really repair related, but something we want to change is with these bars around the rotor. These ones are a smaller wire bar. I honestly don't really know what to call them, but we want to put round bar ones in so that way stuff falls through there a little easier. So really, not a whole lot to do.
Yeah, we get her all waxed up and stuff. It's really, I mean, it looks very, after we washed it with that better soap inside here and stuff, it took a lot of that grim off of it.
The big ticket items that readers put in, they put in a new feeder house chain. I think that was like $1,500. And then they put in a transition cone at the front of the rotor, and that alone was like $4,100 in parts.
Even that transition cone, Ryan was looking at it, they put in the best one they could. They could have shaved some corners and tried to put in a cheaper one or something, but to us, that even shows they want it done right.
Before I forget, this is Reader's website. You can also find it through the link in the description. They have a lot of stuff there, and they also have construction equipment available for rentals. So that's where we also got the excavator. So if anybody's interested, give them a look. Now, before anyone calls the clickbait police, let's talk. So it's true. We lost a farm, but it's not what you think. So this is Tabletop, which is our best farm. And the farm right next to it is for sale. Technically speaking, we can afford the farm, but from a cash flow perspective, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Just remember what it says in page 1 of How to Run a Business 101. Just because you can afford something doesn't mean you can afford something. Let me elaborate. So the most important part of any business is the cash flow. What do I mean by that? Say I'm a small car dealership and I bought a car for $1,000. Joe Schmo comes in off the street. He says, hey, I'll give you $2,000 cash for it. Great, I just made $1,000. So we have a positive cash flow. So now let's look at it from the other side. Say we bought a car for $1,000 and Joe Schmo's cousin, who's an expert negotiator for the FBI, came in and he talked me down to $500. That means I lost $500, so we have negative cash flow. So a positive cash flow, aka the $2,000 car, is better than a negative cash flow, aka the $500 car. But it is possible for us to sell the car for $1,000, so we didn't lose money and we didn't make money. But in our case, instead of selling cars, we're selling corn and soybeans. So in the case of corn and soybeans, let's say it cost me $1,000 an acre to produce that crop. If I go to sell that crop for more than $1,000 an acre, then we made money, positive cash flow. If I sold it for $1,000, we're at neutral cash flow. And if we sell it for less than $1,000, we're at negative cash flow. So in the case of us, my dad and grandpa have been buying ground for a long time, so we have some of those farms paid off. So instead of it costing us $1,000 an acre to plant our crop, in reality we can do it for $900. So that $100 difference is our profit, and that's also known as a free cash flow. And that $100 is what we use to buy new equipment, new buildings, and more ground. But in the case of the farm, if we were to buy that, now instead of having a $900 input, it might bring our inputs up to $970. So now we only have a $30 profit margin, meaning our free cash flow has shrunk. So now we have less money to upgrade our equipment and our buildings. So that's what I mean when I say we can afford it, but we can't afford it. We're still less than $1,000 an acre, but a $30 profit margin is pretty slim, especially when we have equipment that we need to be upgrading, such as a corn head and a bean head. It's just a little bit of a bummer because it's not every day that a farm touching one of your farms comes up for sale. So when that happens, those are ones you like to scoop up, but just from a financial perspective, it's just gonna tie our hands so bad, and not having enough cash flow can really hinder a business's growth down the road, and that's not something I want to have happen. So just one of those deals we're gonna have to pass on. And I'm not gonna lie, even when I'm looking at the numbers here, it still is a tough decision for me because I want to buy ground. But we just had to draw a line in the sand, and we're gonna have to let it pass.
I'm gonna take the truck out of here. We need to load up the skid loader on this trailer. Ooh, it's nice and warm in here. Let's go down to my place, push some snow, get the semi hooked up to the trailer, get to work here.
Right now we're loading up the trailer that we just did, making sure the air brakes on the trailer work, and yeah, I'm gonna load up and dig a grave.
I might turn over to the diesel place, put some diesel fuel in this so we got winter blend. It's one thing nice about a semi-trailer with air brakes. When it's cold, sometimes they freeze first thing. So I'm trying to get the chambers to break loose so my brake pads break loose. We'll see if Sable can get in okay. Sable's got new bib overalls on and they are stiff yet, so it takes a little while to move around. Soon as Sable gets over here, she's got the skid loader, she's cleaning some driveways here in the cemetery. I'm gonna have her move a little bit of snow here where I'm gonna be digging. Just kind of looking things over, making sure there's no stones. Some of these little cemeteries, it's kind of a no-no, but between rows of stones, somewhere along the line, somebody will put a stone right in the middle of a row. Well, then when it snows, you don't know about it and you're going pushing along. So it makes it kind of difficult in the winter. Right now in this cemetery, there's not a ton of snow, so I can see things, but it's still sometimes that little flat marker down low. You can kind of see out here right now, just having that light layer of snow, it made it so the ground don't freeze. You might have maybe, I don't even know if there's a ½ inch of hard dirt on top. Sable's trying to push this top dirt in, but the ground is really slippery now, so it's just making it hard. Get our stuff loaded up here. Tape measure, we don't want to forget that. Normally if we forget anything out in the cemetery, it's usually here the next day when we come back.
Does anybody want any chocolate ice cream by chance?
These past few days on the farm have been kind of slow from a work perspective because Dad and I have been spending a lot of time sitting down at the table, going through financial figures, getting financial statements, cash flow statements, as well as personal tax information figured out. We have a meeting next week with the bankers to go through our farm's cash flow stuff for the next year. So I need to get all of our expenses laid out, what we paid for diesel fuel, insurance, things like that over the last year. And then we're able to plug that into a new cash flow statement for this next year. So they kind of get an understanding on how much money we're gonna have to borrow in order for us to operate. It's a lot of busy work, I would say. It's not exactly hard, but there's just a lot of information to get together, and you gotta make sure you're not missing stuff. Between the YouTube channel, my farm, the main farm, Dad's personal investments, my personal investments, Cooper's hay baling business, and some of our other activities, it's just a lot of stuff to put together, and we wanna make sure we don't miss anything, because if we're off by $50,000 on our analysis, that could affect credit lines down the road, and we don't wanna have that headache. You guys hear that? I think Ronnie just pulled in with a load of corn.
That looks good. We're gonna try to move a few things around in here. This shed's heated over here at Cole's. I'd really like to get the backhoe inside so it's in the warmth. We definitely have to have the skid loader in that's got the tracks on it because they're full of snow and mud. They will freeze solid tonight, so we gotta get that in. So we're gonna try to move the groundhog grave digging machine over. See if we can get some of the stuff wiggled in.
Ooh, I'm sorry guys. Daddy Cornstar just pulled my SD cards full in the middle of a clip on ya. And unfortunately, that's all we had for today, so this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you enjoyed, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.